Okay, here we are back again at the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022. And I think we're ready for the second part of the program here, where Mr. Kesh usually takes questions from our audience.
Yes, really. There's a couple of things I want to mention and to bring it in. One is that, as you remember, for a long time, we tried to bring the GAN's work into different dimensions of work and of what we call materials of the Keshe Foundation, how people go to their work. They bring different knowledges and different way of their understanding into their work. Today we have two of these. One comes from the Keshe Foundation itself in how we have commissioned work, and one comes from one of our beautiful knowledge seekers in France. He's done a lot of work in the past. We heard from him in a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and now has made a collection of his work in regarding the agriculture. It's beautiful to see what he's done. He was with us a few weeks ago, as he went through the enhancement with his beautiful wife. They went through the system, and they went together to see Paris, and we explained some of it to you. He has made a collection of work. His work is done away. This is a work of 2 or 3 years. It's not just normal work. And he made it available to the Keshe Foundation. It goes into the agricultural teaching. It's already put up. We wanted to show it as a whole, but it's a very long what they call teaching, and it'll be shown for teachings for other people who are interested in agriculture in a part of today's work. The other one is, as we said, we always worked into the understanding how the technology can be applied in different ways and different what we call manners, and how we will see the artists will use this technology for their what we call the artisan work. And Keshe Foundation sometimes got commissioned 2 sets of paintings to be released as part of a new generation of works by the Keshe Foundation. These works now is completed, and today you see one of them, a pair of them. There's a pair, matching pair, but with different dimension of gases. They've been put on sale on the Keshe Foundation website. So you buy 2 pictures, and if you put them in the room, dimension of the emotion, dimension of the temperature, dimension of changes in the room, we would like to know. So in a way, you buy an artwork, which becomes part of the research work too, but has a beauty. It has been made, and both pictures will be signed by me as a personal gift, whoever takes it. This is one set, and this is the other set. The parallel sets, and they've been done specifically by Keshe Foundation, for Keshe Foundation, by our knowledge seekers, people who understand our work. And this comes on the back of the same group of people who we introduce through their artisan work, the cup of life, and the cups of the pressure, and cups of what we call sugar. Is those cups you buy, they're artisan works, that are mass production, as is made one individual by hand by artisan. And this is the other one. There are 2 sets of painting. This one matches this one, and this one matches this one. These are in 1 meter, around 1 meter and 1 meter 40 size. One of them, and one is 190 by 120 centimeters. So they're big pictures, and they've been put on the website of the Keshe Foundation. When you purchase these, you haven't bought artwork. These will be followed for years to come. And as I said, when you buy them, put them across each other in a room, in a space. Stand in it and see how it feels, what it brings you. One is loaded 2 to 1. These are, in a way, scientific work that one transmutes feeling of whatever from one pain to another, and see what changes you see on another wall. And you see over time, take pictures of it, and then see in 6 months' time, in a year time, how the colors have changed. How was your mood? How you feel? How it brought you joy. We put these sets of work at 3,000 euro a set. It's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot of ganses, combinations of the thing, and a lot of thinking to go behind it to be done. They're both for sale on the Keshe Foundation website now. And we will introduce work like this from now on, the way very softly we introduce the cup of sugar and cup of pressure. And many of you have bought so many of them. These paintings are individual artwork. These are artisans. And will be promoted to the Keshe Foundation for scientific and evaluation of it. We know a lot of artists try to do this, and they do this because, and there's hardly, they just do it because they want to make sense. This is done the way we want it, and it's done by our people, what they put in it and how they put in it. And we want to see actually what happens in this environment. The changes in the color of this painting for me is important. What happens in 6 months' time? Do you buy a red and a blue, and you end up soon with a green and red? It's a live interaction. These are live pictures. These are what will come that shows your emotion as you pass between the two. Would you be able to see the changes when you sit and you feel happy and the color of the painting changes? And when you're sad, the color of painting changes. You come home, you look at the pictures, oh, she's angry today with me. You come in home and you look at the pictures, oh, she's going to love me today. We are looking for a new dimension of understanding. And it's only 2 sets of these available. And we would like, when you buy it, you enter in a way, it's artwork. All pictures will be signed by me because it comes from the Keshe Foundation. And we want to know the history of these paintings. They'll be valued in hundreds of thousands in a short time if you're in investments of pictures. And gain because of its value as a scientific value. That's what we are after. If you remember when we introduced the glasses to you for test, the understanding of the work with the people who fed us back with some information gave us a very clear understanding of the enhancement units, travel units, and everything else, which now you see you're taking part in. So these pictures, these kind of work for us has a value. It's not just that we put something, because it's going to bring something forward. The other thing which we try to show it today, but we decided in a way to go in a very rapid way to the next level because we see problems in Western Europe. We saw the government of England is planning on 130 billion financial aid package for families to support with fuel and maybe other expenses which come. We have seen the Austrian government yesterday has passed a 2-3 billion package to come in December, when actually you still have to get yourself through to that time. That they give some 500 euro per family to support with the increased rising food and other things. But the crisis will be much deeper than this. Keshe Foundation has decided to go for a direct intervention of the cash plasma, what we call gas and electricity unit. And this plasmatic unit is going under the evaluation and development in the next few days as we shortcut a lot of things through it. And once completed, it will be shown publicly in the next few days. The 5 kilowatt uses the gas to create electricity in a gas generator. The new system uses understanding of the technology of the plasma to create its own gas and its own energy, and with it will introduce the interaction of the fields of the food and everything else. Once we show this as one of freestanding unit, once our team managed to complete it, we will show it, and then it will be rapidly available to all the governments around the world. We have to come to an agreement on an open pattern basis, and what will come back, which means the Western Europe does not need to go through what we call the recession which they're expecting. Then we have to see how we will come to an agreement with governments to disperse with this knowledge so rapidly, and Keshe Foundation to become as a government backing governments in running governments. In a way, we provide the technology and the knowledge to create the backing to the nations to start the beginning of the process of one nation, one planet, one race, to replace the United Nations as one nation, as the nation is already united in knowledge and technology. As I said earlier on, we have set up and we are ready to, in a way, introduce, and with it, the acceptance of the one nation policy, where the new knowledge with energy, the food and transmutation bring a new dimension. And we decide, as knowledge seekers of one nation, how our language nations will operate. And we start the establishment of one nation policy through introduction of the technology available to every man at the point of need. They give you 500 euro to be happy for a while. We give you the whole knowledge of the system and technology to happy for a lifetime. That you do not need to depend on the Saudis and the rest and the danger of nuclear attack by one or the other, because the change has come and we bring forth the enforcement of the knowledge. Introduction of the new technology will bring the introduction of the new one nation policy, and you as citizens decide with it. Now, as I said, we open the pattern on the other side, which you read it but never understood it. Now you read it and you understand it, and the new cycle will start. Next week is not just the beginning of the introduction of transmutation, but we'll bring the other parts, because the same energy supply will be used in our systems for transmutation. Plasma technology with energy power. Let's see what we can do and how we set up 20 years ago to bring the basis of one nation policy into operation through its need at this moment of time. Are there any questions?
Okay, yes, of course, there's always questions. Let's see here. Let's start off perhaps with a question from you in live stream, who says, what does the soul of the man look like in the eyes of the universal community? Mr. Keshe said, they don't see the shape of the body. We are seen as spots of light.
How do you see the sun? And how do you see the Mars? And how do you see the other stars? How come the sun is a light to you? And how come the planets have a matter state to you? Have you ever thought that? Why, when you look on one side, you see the sun as a light, and when you look on the other side, you see the moon as a matter state? Then you find the answer to your question. conditions of the field balance, field condition, dictates the understanding and observation and the emotion. And in a way, if you understand it in an easier way, the tea is a matter state liquid till it touches the lips and the mouth and it becomes emotion. And then still has a dimension of physicality, as we like to feel it, as we consume it. It's the same condition. If I decide what to feel, you can't feel. A lot of people say to me, why you see everything and you let all these things happen? Because it has to happen. It has a reason, it has a cycle. I sat in China between a couple in the hotel in a meeting. And it was a very, very strange meeting. And this meeting took place 2 or 3 times. Wang Lin was sitting next to me as a translator. But in a way, I didn't need any translation. I could read, I could see, I could feel the language of the two across the table and understand the emotion involved in that meeting. And it was very, very strange to hear what they were talking to each other in the soul dimension, what they were communicating, and what they were talking physically. And I got up and I went for a glass of water, a bottle of water from the shop and came back. And with my turn back to them, the conversation changed. And I could hear, I could feel the emotion, the change, what they were talking to each other. And I came back on the table. That was a deliberate job. And I saw how they changed in respect to each other, because in a way, by looking at each other, they were communicating something. And I walked away from this meeting. It was a beautiful meeting. It's wonderful. The gentleman loves the Keshe Foundation technology. There's a lot of things for us in China. But it was interesting to sit and tell them I can see everything. And I know what you think. And I know your emotions and your feelings and what was going on. And I asked for a second meeting. We met a second time. And I wondered if they understood. But in the background, through the soul, I conveyed a message to the other one. And in a meeting, the meeting was very different, because the interaction between the two was totally changed. The emotional interaction was different. And I said to myself during that time, when would man understand? I see everything, but I close my eyes, so I don't need to be told. It's the choice I have. And I choose the man's way to understand the man's way of living and doing. And it's not by ignorance or by what they call being simple. It's just understanding that you live in man's world. As the song said, it's a man's world. Man made a car. It's a man's world, and man made has this world for himself in his physicality. And we have to respect it. But does not mean you have to go with it and do with it. Many times, those knowledge seekers are very close to me, always say, Mr. Keshe, you see everything. Why don't you do it? Why do you go through all this pain? Why do you do these things? always say, I have to learn something from it. That's why we came here. But we see everything, the desires, the lies, the cheats, and everything else. Nothing is hidden. If you choose to go to the path of the soul, and then you live that soul life. Once one said, the worst thing we do is when you withdraw your love. Hurts more than actually knowing that it's not there anymore. Because when we enter a commitment of life, we commit with a full life presence of the emotion of the soul and nothing else. With a full love. Because we understand how the soul understands. And when it's broken, we move away, not to take the pain. And this is what, as knowledge seekers, more and more of you will understand. What you earn, what you learn, what you see, is it a light or is it a dimension of physicality? How do I handle the soul and how do I handle the physical side? This becomes part of our responsibility. Now we are responsible for it. Now we are responsible for the soul and the physicality. Up to now we are responsible to feed the physicality. Soul was there, somebody else's job called God, heaven and the hell and the rest of it. Now you are the God, you are the heaven and you are the hell for it. Accepting the responsibility of the both will be a perfect life of improvement. Because when you do wrong, you do it to yourself. Talk good, because when you talk wrong, you do it to yourself. And everything else which goes with it. And when you act, it has to be perfect. Because you do it to yourself. Psychosomatic. Man has not understood that yet. Any other question? If you want to change the screen, please.
Oh, yes.
I was talking to one of knowledge seekers quite some time ago, and he said, Mr. Keshe, we know what you are doing and where you are, and if you are away or you are home, or you are whatever. And I said, how? He said, your dog barks, we know you are home. If there is such a noise, we know where you are. If you do this, we know what you're doing. And by the noises in the background, we can tell you what you're up to. Now, if you can extend to the knowledge of soul, you don't need to know everything to the knowledge of background. You touch the soul. And you feel the emotion of what that noise of dog made when it's made. Or what happened when the other noise was made. And it's interesting how fast knowledge seekers will come mature to this now that the new technologies are in. Any other question?
Jalal had mentioned in the chat earlier when just after you had talked about the green tea and so on, he says, I knew it was water and tea, and I even smelled the tea. And I know for me, I can add that it was kind of strange. When you were talking about it, I had this impression that it was something sweet and hot, and I couldn't figure out what it was. But here, strangely enough, here I was drinking a green tea at that moment. And not only a green tea, but it was my second cup of green tea. And that's the first time in my life that I've had 2 green teas in a row. So I was actually drinking it when you mentioned it. But my mind couldn't figure out what you were talking about. other than it was something sweet and hot. I kept thinking about coffee, but I thought, no, it's not coffee. What is it? I had no idea that you were a green tea drinker. So that was quite interesting. Okay, what else do we have here? We had a question about from Steph. Do you have she says a formula for the attorney? I think she means a form or a something that can be printed out for people to take to the attorney to notarize, or do we? What do we put on that notarization? Hello, Mr. Cash. We're not hearing you right now. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice I put a mute on. You have to mention that, first of all, about your tea. The green tea has a what you call connection to the soul, and because of the nano structure it has. And when you put your nanomaterial in a given salt level, you know, it changes to gas, and most of our waters have such amount of salt. So green tea, the way it's made, is nano-plated first in a way, as you call it, has and creates different emotion, which in a way gives you, if the Chinese understand how to use the green tea, or man understands how to use the green tea, a lot of diseases will not exist. And this is one of the reasons Chinese live a long, long, long life. And if they understand it. If you make a green tea and throw the fresh water away, you have lost the process of the, what you call, energy feeding the soul, and then soul deciding the life. If you drink it as a pot, if you made the green tea usually and you leave it in the pot, you see it becomes black tea, because the energy of the nanoparticles is given to the environment. And green tea is actually black tea roasted, which is nano coated. Traditionally, when they collect the tea, they take it to roasting, and they just the same night, the man who cuts it or the woman who cuts it roasts it in a pan, and it just stays fresh as it is, keeps its at a certain temperature, keeps its color and whatever. The emotion you carry with it and you receive from it. Regarding the consent, you have to write in your own language that I give my consent to Keshe Foundation and all the operations and subsidiaries to for me to offer my body and my, what do you call it, soul, whatever, to be used for testing and evaluation and elevating the knowledge of the man. And this is done with my full consent, and nobody has forced me or whatever to do such a thing. And I gave all rights to the Keshe Foundation to do in the time of testing, and I have no claims whatsoever. This is important. If one of your knowledge seekers understood what I've done and can type it, put it back on the screen, we put it on. And if you have a lawyer around, write it up and give it to us straight away. We put it on, becomes what we call the platform plate. But we need this because we are entering a dimension of the testing with a very interesting job. Any other question?
Okay, she had a second question. Are you still looking for satellite people, the ones not coming to Linz, but operating out of your home?
The more we have, yes. Enroll, pay for it, and there we have a lot of people who done. I mean, we'll know the list of satellite people. We will probably know, it'll be known because with the point of focus. And we have more and more people joining to become satellites. And it's good to have. It was very beautiful this week. The groups came in. They were from. We had 2 Russians. Oh, we had Germans. We had Polish. Where else came from? The Austrians. Last week we had, or the week before, we had our first Afro-American, and more or less we are piling in all what is needed. We're still missing Chinese. They have not come in yet. And it's amazing what is and how that system feels and how people come with what expectation they come. But yes, we need satellite people. Some of the weeks we still to do some other things is that the standard flight test will still carry on in the background with some people as they come in. Then this allows us to perfect our system to understand where it goes wrong. But from next Wednesday, Tuesday we are closed. We don't do any tests. Next Wednesday, 14th, as I said, we have 4 people going through it. It'll take an hour or 2, maybe less. We succeed or we do not. But it all depends how our technicians in the background set up the system and how we see how we do what we. Our original target is not to take one to the other, is actually to see if we can transmute the soul. We'll do that for a few days and see what we get, how we see, and then we'll most probably test it. It's sort of physicality and the sort of the man across after that, and then we attempt a full transmutation. And our team is building the first 2 vertical systems for this job. There are 4 new systems on the construction development in the Keshe Foundation, where 2 of what you've seen, if you remember, the vertical units, which we showed originally. Now, these vertical units as a transmutation and a transmutation system are literally getting developed to the standard that we can start testing. And this will be very interesting for us in how our team will be there to bring this condition into what we call operation, and how we will change the whole structure and the whole transmutation system. Who will be allowed and who will not be allowed, what soul allows you to go. If you're coming into the system to escape, forget about it. It will not happen. If you come there to collaborate, to bring shared knowledge, you will find you'll be transmuted. And you got to understand you cannot cheat the system, because the system is you. We just provide, you're the captain. We provide the facility, we give you the aircraft to fly it. We create a runway in a way to fly it. The aircraft is yours. And you have to decide under what condition you really want to fly. And how far you want to push this, what we call transmutation and the transportation. This vertical system you see in the center is now getting set up in a very much like the other system, ready for transporting away, transmuting you from one unit to another. We actually have a problem at the moment where to put it. As you see just behind you, or where underneath, is the 2 large escalators right in the center of the exhibition. Above us, if you've been, is like a huge metal structures of the back end of the rocket propulsion. And we're looking for where we can transmute without anything within the exhibition center. If we don't find a place, we move to a new location for this, because it has to be without interference. and we'll see what comes up. Otherwise, you still go through the same system as before. As we have in the room still, we have to find a location for this to start with. Any other question?
Okay, we've got a hand up here with Azar. If you could go ahead, please.
Good morning, Mr. Keshe. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. You're up early. It's 5 o'clock your time.
I'm always up at 3 in the morning on Thursdays when you teach. Now it's 5:04, yes. Before I ask my question regarding the tea and coffee you guys talk about, this is something I learned that coffee, tea, onion, garlic, and hot pepper, not the black pepper, actually when you take them, it engages your soul more. So from 2018, when I learned that, I stopped taking them because you can feel it. And then when you go back to it, once in a while, if I go to someone's house or traveling, it is in the food and, I take it, but they have a very, very medicinal effect on the body, especially garlic and onion. But when you take it on a daily basis, it has a huge impact on at the soul level. So I don't know how much the truth is it, but I can see the effect of it in case people want to know. A question I have, since on a teaching that we do in Farsi, I teach the old teaching. When I listen to you, all these years you're teaching, you brought a lot of knowledge for humanity to free himself or herself from the shackles of this planet and release themselves from this painful living on this planet for people who are in physical level, because constantly they have to deal with every aspect of their life in either the food or energy or medicine or survival. So at the end, when I look at it, my question is, it's up to us, because you constantly, the way I feel in every teaching, you constantly bring the same thing, and maybe in a million or maybe a zillion ways, you're trying to tell us you can go to this point. But ultimately, it's a humanity's decision if they want to go through this path. You cannot force them, because I see you constantly, you're teaching us, but you cannot take us and put us there. So the action has to come from us. So the question is, at the end, the humanity can get to the point that you're trying so hard to, from the first day until now, no matter what, you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and it seems nothing is clicking for a lot of people. So it's also possible at the end we bring our own demise rather than go through the path you're showing us. Is the decision that humanity in totality make, and for you it's going to be a lot of suffering if humanity doesn't choose that path. And for you it's very painful journey, because every single day, every single minute, every single second, you keeping the same thing over and over again and hoping that they get it. And are we getting it?
Asarjan, I want to explain to you something, how we get it and what we decide. with everything we go. Experience of life is a very good thing to go to evaluate. When I was a student, in the second year in London, I decided I want to live in the center of London rather than living in outskirts and outside. And I rented what I call a room, what do you call it, like an apartment with a separate kitchen, a bathroom, and everything else, right under the loft, the top where the the beams falls and everything else. It was like 5 or 6 stairs of flights, and on each floor there were 1 or 2 doors, apartments. And the were part of the building didn't have any of lived in Knightsbridge around the Bayswater, you know, the kind of buildings there. And I had to walk all the way every day, up and down to go to college and back. And the college was on the journey to go from Central London to East London to Queen Mary. That was another emotional track. But coming home, being in the college whole day, hungry, and you have to go through this flight of stairs. And it was just after the Iranian Revolution. When I took the apartment, there was nothing. But being in the Bayswater, those of you who know, in the center, it became, the owner was Iranian, so it became a house of Iranian. There were literally all Iranian living in that floor. Refugees, people came to whatever they settled. And I used to think about what they were going to cook. I was sharing house with another apartment with another Iranian boy at the Imperial College. He was doing his PhD. And thinking about home, what I'm going to cook, what I'm going to be ready by the time we get home. And you walk these stairs up. If you know Iranian cooking and the Iranian woman, the way they cook, the food has to have a smell. One floor you pass, you smell something else. The other door you pass, you smell something. By the time you get to the top, you have 5 or 10 smells. I always say this house 2, 3 people have a korma sabzi, if you know what it is, and the rest of it. By the time you get to the top, you're confused in the decision you made at home because of everything you smelled on the way up. To make what you decided before you come home is a challenge, because now you have all emotions of the taste and the smell going through you, and how like this or do that, and then making something on top. It was, and sometimes we had a joke between each other with my friend. He said, "Oh, we were supposed to have this for dinner tonight. We decided yesterday. What happened? Changed the smells." And sometimes when we used to get to the top, the other one was home. Says, "What are we? Oh, hell, smell that one. That one. We're going to have this one. Forget about what we decided yesterday." And this is emotion, how we can stick to it and how we evaluate it and how we understand it. And does it have an emotion with us? If you bring an Englishman going up the stairs, it's just a lot of a smell. But being Iranian has a different emotion because the culture, this is what we see, Universal Council members have to understand, has to be from the language to understand. And this comes to work when you come to work and understand the work of human race. The desire is the change of emotion in interaction with other emotions, understanding of it, and being able to accept the pains of it as you try to understand it. And this brings a lot of solitude. It brings a lot of comprehension of the totality. And how we see, how we accept it, how far are we going to sacrifice to understand it? And is that sacrifice brings us any gain? We fall in love with a partner, totally different culture, different language, different thing, and we try to satisfy it for that, the love, what we call love. Learn the cooking, learn the language, learn the way of doing things, and then you find out it didn't work. And it wasn't there, you understood, misunderstood, and never been there. It's a lot of people who work around me. They say I tell them you don't speak English, you just speak English, the voice is English, but you don't understand the emotion, what it implies, what it implies. And they say, you're not an Englishman, you're Iranian, how come you? I lived there 30 years. I went as a young boy, I understand, live within the structure. Has the same value or understanding to me as the most probably more than what I understand in the Farsi language, because it's the time of the youth, where you understand emotions. And people speak English and said, this is not what it means. It says in dictionary, but it doesn't say the emotion of that word is specifically used in that dictionary. But with the soul, we don't have this problem. It means exactly what it says. It implies and applies exactly what it is. And this brings a lot of pain, a lot of understanding, a lot of comprehension of totality of essence of a race. And how much you can accept.
Mr. Kesh, I understand what you're saying, because when I came here, I was only 20 years old. So I've been living here for 41 years. And then sometimes when I go to Iran, because I don't understand certain things, the culture, I get into trouble. Like somebody says, come tonight to our house, and I say, okay. But then I realize it wasn't okay, because the people around me, like Yusuf John or Dr. Babu, said, no, this doesn't mean that, so you can't just go.
So we call it tarof.
Yeah, because we were in North, we were traveling in a city with Yusuf John, that was his family lived there, his cousin came in, and then their cousin, they have a factory, they make all those porcelain plate and cups and stuff like this. And we went to lunch, and then Yusuf John said, my cousin says, come over tonight. I said, okay, let's go. And Dr. Babu, no, you can't just go like this, because they're just saying it. I said, what do you mean just saying it? They just say come, so it means come. So we had an argument about that. But then I realized, and sometimes some people tell me, oh, you can have this bracelet. And I take it and I say, thank you. But then I had to give it back, because it wasn't meant to.
We call it tarof.
Tarof, yes.
Tarof. But this is part of our culture. If you tell somebody else, even with us, we understand it, we have a problem. I do that with a lot of people. When I go to Iranian shop somewhere and they say, oh, tarof, you don't need to pay. One day I actually walked out with it. They said, where are you going? He said, you said they can have it free. He said, no, it was just a tarof. I said, not with me, I don't understand it.
Actually, I have done the same thing. I have done the same thing in Iran. The guy says, "Is no problem when I'm buying something." I say, "Okay." And then he said, because I knew what does it mean, but then I had a good laugh about it. But Mr. Kesh, about the talking about the living in the soul level and physicality. Actually, I mean, a lot of us, since we understand it, actually, if I didn't know what I know, the life would be so different. Living in a soul level, life makes life very easy. It's playful and it's joyful. Because even in the morning when I leave the house, I tell my husband I'm going to physical world. I come back. I see you tonight. So because I know I'm going out there and I'm playing a role, and if it was in the past, the way I look at it, if I act on it on a physical level, would have been a lot of maybe tension, a lot of things. But when you go to the soul level, everything is pure, everything is crystal clear. And even when you go to that level, you can see people's intention, you can see people's play game, you can see people's feel alive, you can see everything. Nothing is hidden from you because it's very clear. they don't know that you can see, but you see, and easy. And for me, it's easy to interact with people because I can see everything clearly. So I just play my role in that interaction. And the most beautiful thing is when we go to the soul level, and then with the complete clarity and cleanness of your talk and your action. Actually, sometimes I notice the whole, if you have a meeting with someone or in a gathering and you're speaking, and other people, because of what they're going through, because they're into the physicality, they're not familiar with different world, although they have a lot of tension and maybe a lot of assumption about different things, and they don't understand it, the way you act on a soul level, suddenly you see they actually come into ease with everything, and at the end you see the whole the person is changed in a way that you say, oh, is interesting, like as if you're holding a space, and the way you acted, you changed them in a way that you never thought is possible. And this is a beautiful way that I think all the knowledge seekers that now they understand is when they go about their life in outside, it's just interaction with people, it just changes people. And then you don't even have to put much effort.
You know something I said to one knowledge seeker once? She said, when I go to such a place, I don't feel good. I said, go inside, go in the room, see if you don't feel good. Come out and wash your face and your head take it with you, a combination of CO2 and Zadan and something else. And go back into the meeting again, or go back into the same room again with the same people and see how you feel. If your emotion, your feeling, your understanding changes. And she did. And later on, she said, never ask me to do this again, because I found out 80% of the wrong things I was looking was with me, not with them. And it brings out a lot of how we see with each other. You got to understand, I sit in these sessions of enhancement trials, and sometimes simple things touches you, sometimes emotional of single things touches you. And I'm sure the ladies listening, people who are around here, don't know what I'm talking about. This lady came to us very recently, and she went through the system. And we didn't know anything about the background. I don't read anything about people who come in, then it gives you set mind of what to think or what to do. She came out of the system, and she says she's got the breast cancer on the left side. That was after what she told me, that she went in the system and she sorted out the problem, which she managed to get to the soul of the mother and the grandmother. And between three of them, they sorted out the problem which was never sorted, which was mainly to do with the love of the mother for the child or whatever it is. And she says she's happy she came because she settled the score or whatever, she settled the problem. And I said to her, maybe you have changed the condition of your cancer. And she told me. Because left breast of a woman goes with a mother and a daughter. She has no children. And I said, now you change the emotion. Let us know if the cancer changes. If your body and your life changes. and what will be the outcome. We bring that change through emotion, dimension of physicality. And I'm sure with a high percentage, we will see a resolution to this cancer. Because I know what has caused it, what is the reason behind it through our research and development and everything else, and understanding the work of the soul. But what will be interesting is what she will take from this experience. What will add to the beauty of the life, and in life it might end with this cancer, or my life is going to be extended because of understanding what caused it. So it's not only the interaction of the people with our emotion, but the interaction of ourselves with our emotion, which is the biggest problem which man will solve from now on. Death through cancer, death through self-inflicted emotional psychosomatic will become a thing of the past for man. And this will give a new dimension and extension to the life, physical life of the man. Because we will handle these emotions at the outset, not at the endset with the cancer and other things which comes with it. And we'll see, and most probably a lot of people will see more and more. And in these trials, past few weeks, we have seen the effect of the expansion of the soul and change of physicality. And we see it, we've seen it even yesterday and the day before in an amazing way. A gentleman with Parkinson who could only write one word, and the word diminishes, goes in the system for the flight test and comes out with being able to write 5 sentences without a stop. And he hasn't done that for 10 years. And if you say that to anyone, they say it's impossibilities. But in fact, it's the soul which does the job. It's the expansion of the soul to get ready to fly. Balances a lot of things that the physicality is accepted. You remember when we brought the Chinese guy in a wheelchair, and a few days later he was running. We saw this yesterday and the day before in the enhancement center. And the speed which works, the speed which changes. Because the soul can fix the physicality which it created. No medicine can. Now we understand what happened to the Chinese men and the other Chinese who went there. All we had to do was to understand the work of the soul. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
I hope you enjoyed your trip and the experience with it.
Yes, I did enjoy it, but also at the same time, I forgot to tell you that day that, when I went to the unit the first day, because I went to the one that you feel, and I felt the expansion of the soul, because I was sitting in your unit, I didn't get scared because I said, Mr. Keshe said, when the feeling came, I didn't think about anything odd about it. So, but then I realized I had that feeling sometimes, a couple of times at home, but since I didn't know what is happening, I want to get away from it. I said somebody may be attacking me. It wasn't familiar thing for me. So that experience, it teaches something about me. If it's happening, I should allow it to become further, go and expand more. I shouldn't try to distract myself and just say, please go away. So that was a good thing.
I think it was a nice experience for you and your husband. I think he felt it in a different way.
Yes, he did, because he sat in a machine that he could see and feel.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you.
Okay, we had a further question from Steph regarding when do you get the date and when or where are you needed and how long does it take with the mobile phone?
What do you mean by that?
I think like she'll sign up on the website and I think she wants to know when she would be notified and how long does it take? How long does the process take?
What do you mean by that? How long it says?
Probably like, is it over several hours or I think you mentioned a couple of days might have to be
It
set
all
aside.
depends how we inform you beforehand, and depends on the condition, how we want to do and how we set things up and how it will be done.
Okay, and she has a further question. Does Mr. Keshe know if you have the right soul for this? Or can it be that he said, no, you're not right for that?
I have no right to decide. Your soul decides. It's a beautiful thing. I just received something for our, what I call, a lot of you who work with Keshe Foundation people, we have a what I call news broadcast room. One of our knowledge seekers fills up all with the latest news all the time. There's not a day you don't get something from her, a few or 10 or 20 things. She just sent something which inspires something. Maybe that's the reason she sent it. It says the world's biggest cruise ship is said to be sold for a scrap before first voyage, as owners go bankrupt. 1.6 billion vessel with things with 20 deck. Very, very interesting. It triggers something very interesting for us. Could we acquire a ship like this to become the center of the world government? A ship with everything, an independent nation that we can float to any nation. It's a very intriguing thought. Would we be able to spend that kind of money? Would it be given for such a purpose? Or is it better to be metal than the purpose? But it's a very nice thing. It's a seed for thought.
What if you could make it fly? I saw that article. I couldn't believe it, that they'd have such a large ship and they were brand new and they were going to totally tear it down into scrap.
Yeah.
Well, they're threatening to do that if they don't get a buyer.
I don't think anybody will go and do that.
It needs it needs some refitting to finish it off, like about $300 million worth, apparently.
Yeah, 1.6 billion.
Mhm.
This is what is it? The American government spends in a day or so for military applications.
It's like buying a country for that much. You like you say, you can move your country or your world organization.
It becomes a very good headquarters.
Mhm.
Do you have such a change in your pocket, Mr. Kramer?
Well,
1.6 billion.
Maybe some of my relatives do, but certainly not me. No relatives that I know.
Oh, we have to ask Mr. Bill Kramer. He died. We could ask for local Kramer family.
Yeah, maybe I've got an inheritance there somewhere that I don't know about. Billions of dollars that has been hoarded
all the Queen's
all
wealth.
these years. Exactly. Well, some people are actually going for that kind of thing. They're trying to get back the money they paid in interest over their mortgage for 50 years, and saying that the banks took that money and reinvested it. So they should get the interest and capital from all that instead of the banks. So we'll see how successful they are at that.
What is interesting is that, just if you think about what we hear in the news, where is this new Prime Minister of England going to find 130 billion to support the present economical situation with energy and food? We have to understand, what is the population of England? 75 million. If you give 10 euro to each, it's 750. If you give 100, it'll be 7.5. And if you multiply it by 20, which is 2,000 euro per family budget, is about 130 person. I mean, not family, that's 130 billion. But where is this money is going to come from? That the government can guarantee to pay to his nation for 70 million people to take some pressure off the fuel crisis off for the next 18 months. Then you understand how much governments have stashed away, or what they're planning to do with what they haven't stashed away, they're trying to take from you. This is part of what we, how much do we pay when we go on the moon if we see the others? Has it got any value? What we call value of money. Few meters above Earth, everything we fight for has no value. You could be there, or your soul is there. There's no value to it. Absolutely no value to it. And what are we fighting for? Any other question?
Okay, we've got several questions in the Q&A here. From Cristiano, one from Alexandra. About this teaching, what put me to think the most is when Mr. Keshe says, with the emotion of the soul, you transmute to any position in the universe. I wonder what this emotion of the soul is, what it is like, in which condition we will reach it. What do we really need to achieve this condition and elevation? Mr. Keshe, your microphone is closed. So.
Yeah, I understand. What about if you say, or if you understand that you already have it, you denied it. You don't need to reach it. It's already part of you. It's already in you. It's already born with you, and you are because of it. And that's all it is. That's all it needs to be, and that's all it is. It has to be. That's all you need to understand.
Is it our attachment to the physicality that prevents us from feeling that emotion normally?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you say that this emotion of the soul is present, but we don't recognize it, or we don't pay attention to it, perhaps because our attention's busy with our attachments of the physicality. And I'm thinking that this that we have periodic times through the day that this emotion is available if we don't allow our physicality to just kind of smear everything through as part of the general hubbub of life.
We prioritize. We give priority to our physical dimension than to our soul dimension. And we done that from the point of birth. Which one has a priority and which one can do? If we are taught from the establishment of the fetus that there is an option to live both, how would it be? It's very interesting point that we are aware of it from when we are in the womb of the mother, but we are not aware of it when it comes to physicality. Children hear the parents when they're in the womb of the mother, but the soul feels the soul of the parents. And in extreme cases, we see birth with psychosomatic damages prior or immediately after the birth, which means the soul has gone already through the phase of pain, whatever, and it has already gone through psychosomatic changes. Children with skin disorder, children with digestion disorder, children with a breathing disorder at the point of birth. What I always say, you look at the end product, go back and look to the before end product, what caused it, how much battle has been between the husband and wife, how much battle has been between the environment of the mother in different shape or forms, not necessarily shouting and howling, emotional and the rest of it. You find out, you can sort it out straight away if you're in the right position, not by creams or whatever, by elevating the soul of the child, the infant. If a child is created to damage the soul, you will not see so much illness or whatever, because it fits itself. It does itself what it is. A child which is born in a house of love and care, and true love, true care, by both parents in all levels, we see a different character. We see a different physical life, which is a lot of love, but a lot of forces. Who's the boss in the house and everything else, not necessarily shouting. You see the child is always sick, right through the life. Because you touch the soul, she feels it doesn't need to be there physically. And the physicality manifests itself after that. 90% of the children illnesses in the first years of life, all preset in the house in respect to the mother and father and how they're brought up, how they talk, and if it's true love and true understanding. And parents don't understand this. A life which is full of adultery and everything else and is supposed to be perfect gives that kind of conditions of it. The adultery doesn't mean sexually, it means by thoughts, by oh, he likes this, I do something else. I do something because he doesn't like it, I like to do it, and the rest of it. You see, it's very intriguing for people who understand process of birth. You see, from very beautiful parents, very beautiful children come. What's the reason for it? Genes. But you see, from some beautiful parents come some of the most not desirable children. When a man is happy with a beautiful woman, or a woman is happy with a beautiful, handsome man with him, and are proud of being there, that happiness, that joy creates that happiness within the fetus. And it comes the same, it's a combination of the two. Doesn't mean that other people can't do it, but the same when you see the bride and such, it could be any color, any race, doesn't need to be very handsome, pretty children. Handsome prettiness, beautifulness out of the conduct, out of the physical behavior, physical life, not the beauty of the face. Beauty is the skin deep. And this is what mankind has to understand. We learn a lot with the new understanding of the cycle of life. People more and more understand. And then you understand, I always said that, but it's not a cruel way, but if you understand it fully, the true essence of one life child policy of China, if you understood in the level of the soul, to keep that one life, one soul to the point of its maturity to perfection, is more than enough to have one child. Is more than enough. It's like an army to look after the perfection for that single child. One day man will understand. You don't have time for more. But nowadays we get them the best clothes, the best, but we don't nourish their soul. That the best will come from its existence. It's very, very, very interesting how man will change. So, any other question?
We have a hand up with Miranaz, but before we get to that, I'd like to address a bit of a long question from Cristiano in the Q&A. So bear with me as I go through this. Says, good morning, Mr. Keshe, and good morning to all present. Mr. Keshe, I was watching the 380th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, where you show a position below the uvula and explain that the higher force field of the air is transferred to the soul of man. Then you explain that the positioning of the mouth and the nose is planned by the soul of man for its own use. Further on, you say that if we create a condition below the uvula, we can expand the soul beyond the physicality. Then I move to the 125th Knowledge Seekers Workshop, where you explain the interaction of two reactors with two nucleus, and then you tell us to go to the first few pages of book 1 with that understanding. And when I read the pages 14 to 15 and 16, you talked about reactor technology, fission and fusion by plasma dilution, where it talks about plasma dilution and the, he says, Columbus barrier. I think he means the Coulomb
barrier.
Coulomb barrier, yes. Okay, it continues. Then I continued watching the 125th Knowledge Seekers Workshop when you called Douglas from the USA, where he talks about making a reactor with two nuclei, in which he had a copper oxide in the center with water, plasma CO2, plus a drop of his blood. and in the outer ball, CH3 with liquid to elevate the pH. And he talks about the plasma light that he saw when he rotated the balls, and also tells that his wife saw him move in slow motion. So I ask you, this is the question part. At that point, there is a connection between the CH3 carbons of the outer ball and the CO2 carbon in the center. And since hydrogen is lighter than oxygen, it expanded the fields. Was this the result of the plasma dilution and the breaking of the Coulomb barrier, as you talk about in the book?
The breaking of a Coulomb barrier, it releases energy. And that energy is what we see as light. I was explaining yesterday to one of our knowledge seekers, the body of the man, energy within the body of the man is equal to 18 Hiroshima bombs. And if you calculate roughly how many cells are in the body of the man and how much that energy was, then you can find out the energy of each cell. And then each atom, which combination of this work has made that cell. But it's not just that energy which creates the light, it's the speed you release that energy into another environment that the friction of releases the light. And this is part that a lot of knowledge seekers again don't understand. Is no when you release a nuclear bomb, there's no harm done. It's just a massive energy. Unless and until it hits your body and that energy is counted, what effects will have on you, how much it enlightens you, how much will move cells within your body, and how much other things can happen with it. So it's not how you connected the carbon or what was the energy, it's how you manage to release with what speed that one. So we see this as part of the work. And how we create that speed of release. And sometimes you can do it by stripping it, sometimes bring it by collision, or sometimes do it by all sorts of movement. And how we understand it. And you might not see the light as a visual light, but you might see the light as a soul level, because that light still comes from interaction of fields. Coulomb's barrier is another skin on the structure of the onion. There is more inside it as you peel one shell to the other and to the other. I've just been told that the universal picture, the twins, has already been sold. So it's only the other one left. You got to understand that the collection of fields and their interactions creates, and how much you can add and what you can strip, which releases. And this is part of the work which we are busy with and understanding of it will create a lot of mayhem for a lot of knowledge seekers. Any other question?
Okay, let's get to Marinez here. Go ahead, Marinez.
Yes, thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Cash. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much. I'm glad that knowledge seekers are taking part in the research. And I hope one day it would be my turn. So now that you answered the questions about the physical problems related to souls, if you permit, I have a question which it's a long time I wanted to ask, but I didn't permit myself. It's about a person who is born with the part of the eye, the nervous system in the eye, the nerves of the eye don't work from the birth. And even though the father is doctor, they couldn't say what it was. And only that mother had fever maybe for a few days. So this person is a complete adult, a very gentle, extraordinary memory he could have with his eyes, which are very little capacity, get a postdoctorate in abstract mathematics, and he remembers everything he reads, and very human, very outside the standard norm kind person. And now he's adult, he's getting old, and I wanted to know, first of all, what does it have to do with the soul of the parents or environment at birth? Does it have anything to do with that? Or is it just an accident? And is it just by something in this person who wanted to show, even with his eyes, can do something? And if there is something in future to do with the people who have low eye capacities to do things with their mind or soul or brain, is there any future betterment for these people when they get older?
It's a combination of everything. It's a combination. We got to understand, if I can go deeper, because we have to understand it.
Thank you.
Some people might say it's cruel, but
No.
it's the reality of it. It's a combination of all what you said, plus the interaction, the fields of the souls in the dimension of physicality of their forefathers. The way we look at the eye of a child and says, oh, it looks like the grandmother. Grandmother used to have this color of eyes or this color of hair and this kind of hair. Yeah?
Well,
so it is a collection. That's why they say, Baha'u'llah Blessed's name said something very, very interesting. He says, pray for your children 20 years before they were born, before they are conceived. And most of the people in the Iranian culture and Middle Eastern culture used to get married at 10 and 11. It means the grandparents have to pray for the grandchildren to be born, not alone the parents. And this is what we say, go back to understanding of the true life of Mitra. When you, as a great-grandfather, great-grandmother, don't say wrong, don't do, act wrong, don't do wrong or think wrong. So, and your child learns from you, that perfect child to be born, the grandchild or great-grandchild, is still perfect because it's there. condition of the environment is there to interact, but you create a perfect soul that with it will use that imperfection to become the source of elevation of the others. We are here to serve and not to be served at every level. You understand? And
Yes.
this is what we say, what did they do? Was it? No, go back. If you inherited the color of the eye of the great grandmother, so you did her sins. And so you did her beautiful work.
Yes.
It's
And
not exclusivity. It's inclusivity of all. That's why when a race all work the same way, do good and do everything else correct, the society becomes correct. Then what do you expect? There is a understanding of the totality, which is the biggest problem. We always look at the individuality in single positions and phases. We don't look at the total.
does it? Well, I thought that he is both sides from military family.
Matter military family, who did they kill, or what did they do, who they supported? Doesn't go what you did. It depends. I mean, what kind of job you come from, the background is what was the outcome of the fact and the soul of those who you touched. I was talking to a world leader some time ago. Very, very influential world leader. And his words were very, very touching, but his understanding of separation from it was, in a way, very touching too. As the head of the state, the last say if somebody is sentenced to execution goes to him or to head of the state. He said, I cannot carry such a burden. So I have put a group, they decide that I don't have to carry if there is a mistake in judgment. That I do not bring that problem into my bloodline by killing someone who's innocent. And it shows how far this man has thought about even his action will affect his future generation. And this is how we should live. I admire his work. I've done a lot of work around him with him. And it's amazing how, as somebody who never had to work in his life, is born and bred with a silver spoon in his mouth, as we say. And he could have anything any man dreams, but as a head of a state, he does not want to carry the burden of his judgment that he might touches his future generation. And this is how life should be. And then why do the grandchildren and children come with what they come? And the great-grandchildren, and God knows the whole race or whatever which comes from them. Any other question?
We have several more questions here, Mr. Keshe, and a hand up with Stefania. I also wanted to know if you wanted to play the video of Joel Richard, the grapes video. If you still wanted to play that as well, how would you like to proceed?
Yes, yes, why not? Is Joel online himself that he can explain? Do you see him? I put the pictures of the two paintings which is done there in Uno Center. They send you a couple. One is already booked and sold. I think it's this one. If it's the universal one. The other one is still available. Let me see if we see Joel. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's here. He's with us. Let him explain the background to this video and then we show the video. Joel, thank you very much for being with us. Would you like to explain the background to this work, what we're going to see, please?
Hello, Mr. Cash. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joel. Thank you very much for your hard work over years.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
First, I just want to thank Yvonne, Mark, and Rick to send to you this video. And thank you, Mr. Cash, for bringing us the technology and encouraging me to shoot this video. So we have done it last year from March to.
Could you give us a background, who you are, what you do, where you are, please?
Oh yes, I am a knowledge seeker living in France, in southwest of France, near Bordeaux, and I am studying with you during 4 years, and I try to help many farmers in agriculture, and I spend the technology in France from east to west, and we are going from Bretagne to Marseille every month to spread this technology. So near our town, we have many vineyards, and last year we decided with you, it's you who have give the idea of this video, and we have shoot it from March to September, and during all this period, we have shooted every 50 days with drone and camera to show you how the ganses were able to protect and facilitate to the growing of the grapes. Sorry for my English. Do you understand me?
I think your
Yes,
English is pretty good.
So carry on, explain to us what we would see in this video, please.
During we have started 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and it was at the beginning. We have only one parcel to experiment these ganses, and after the first season, we have seen that all the grapes were very in good health, and they didn't add no disease during all the season. In vineyard, we have many problems with several disease, and for this parcel, nothing. So we have continued one season again and again and again, and today we are harvesting now in 2022 And we have no problem this season. The harvests are beautiful, despite the weather, with freezing on the beginning of the year, and the big heat were of July and August. So if you want, you can, Rick, you can play the video if Mr. Kesh is okay.
We are perfect with it. It's just that we needed some explanation. It's not just a video, but people understand the whole thing behind it. Rick, would you like to play the video? It's about 18 minutes.
Yes, and just to let people know, it is in French, and but it does have the English subtitles as well. Okay, let me just double check here, and here we go.
French language, but subtitles are in English.
Merci.
Okay.
Thank you,
Au
Joe.
service de l'agriculture. La création de champs plasmatiques est réalisée à partir de ganses qui sont judicieusement placés sur le terrain afin de dépolluer, de nourrir et faire fructifier les plantes. Le principe est simple. Il s'appuie sur la physique quantique et plus particulièrement sur le fait que le champ le plus fort nourrit le champ le plus faible. Pour créer cette dynamique, on joue sur les volumes de ganses qui remplissent soit des sphères dans le cas de petites surfaces comme les jardins, soit des anneaux destinés à de grandes exploitations. On équipe les anneaux ou les sphères avec des ganses choisis pour leurs vertus. Par exemple, on n'utilise pas le ganse de CuO pour dépolluer les sols, le ganse de CO2 pour stabiliser les cultures et l'associer avec le ganse de CH3 pour limiter l'apport hydrique. Les ganses sont actifs dès leur mise en place et le processus dynamique ne cesse de grandir pour arriver à une stabilité sphérique après plusieurs semaines. Dans le cas des parcelles de vignes, compte tenu des produits phytosanitaires utilisés par le passé, nous avons positionné des anneaux de ganse CuO de telle manière qu'il y ait entre eux la dynamique des champs et que ces champs couvrent la totalité du terrain pour dépolluer. Ces ganses ont été complétés par ceux de CO2 et de CH3 afin que les plantes puisent dans ces ressources pour arriver à maturité dans les meilleures conditions. Enfin, les vignes ont besoin d'apports très spécifiques, toujours fournis par les champs des ganses, tels que le bore et le soufre. La répartition des anneaux est étudiée afin que l'interaction dynamique des champs plasmatiques fonctionne des plus forts vers les plus faibles, en combinant anneaux faibles et anneaux forts. Par exemple, en un seul point de pause, il y a un cumul de 5 anneaux, 2 anneaux forts de bore et de soufre entre 3 anneaux faibles de CuO, CO2 et CH3, l'inverse étant réalisé sur l'anneau suivant. La vidéo qui suit présente l'application de la technologie plasma sur 2 sites. Tout d'abord un vignoble en entre-deux-mers, puis une oliveraie en Gironde, constituée d'arbres brûlés au cours d'un incendie dans le sud de la France et replantés dans le sud-ouest. Commençons par les parcelles de vignobles en test. Cette vue aérienne montre les 2 parcelles équipées des anneaux de ganse. La parcelle 1 est dans sa 3e saison d'essai et la parcelle 2 est testée depuis 2 ans en tenant compte des résultats de la parcelle 1. Elle est aussi équipée des anneaux de ganse. Ces 2 parcelles sont en Cabernet Franc. Nous sommes le 23 avril 2021, quelques jours après les 2 nuits d'un gel très violent qui a détruit un grand pourcentage de vignes dans le Bordelais. Comme on peut le voir, le gel n'a pas eu d'effet sur les vignes de ces parcelles. Les anneaux sont répartis dans les rangs de vignes comme présenté dans les schémas décrits précédemment. Ils ont été posés au mois de janvier afin d'être opérationnels pour l'arrivée des premières feuilles. On remarque l'excellent état de santé des pieds, car les jeunes feuilles sont très nombreuses. Y compris sous cette 3e parcelle de cépage Merlot, qui est beaucoup plus fragile que le Cabernet Franc. À partir du mois de mai, alors que la météo était favorable malgré le gel du mois d'avril, des pluies intenses se sont abattues sur la région, favorisant ainsi l'arrivée des maladies. Comme nous avons pu le constater, aucune maladie n'a affecté les vignes pendant cette période. Préventivement, les réserves d'eau de la propriété ont aussi été dépolluées par la mise en place dans les réservoirs de sphères de gans CuO et CO2. Ainsi, le peu de traitement réalisé pendant ce mois de mai n'a pas affecté la santé des vignes. Ils ont plutôt propagé les champs plasmatiques des gans. D'autres viticulteurs, ayant déjà subi les dégâts du haut gel, ont traité à outrance pour tenter de sauvegarder leur future récolte. Nous voici à Trillac, sur les coteaux de la Dordogne. Cette oliveraie, c'est plutôt une infirmerie pour des arbres qui ont été brûlés dans les incendies de 2016 dans le sud de la France. Ils ont été sauvés du broyage. Un convoi parti de Gironde les a récupérés et ils ont été replantés en lieu et place de vignes dans une parcelle escarpée. Ces 123 spécimens ont végété pendant 4 ans, jusqu'à leur rencontre avec la technologie plasma de M. Kesch. Plusieurs gans ont été placés dans des sphères et des anneaux pour les aider dans leur convalescence. L'agencement pour ce type d'intervention est toujours le même. Il est basé sur le principe du champ le plus fort qui nourrit le champ le plus faible. Alors, petit à petit, les choses se sont améliorées. Pour certains d'entre eux, des juvéniles ou des adultes, l'épreuve du feu a été très handicapante. Plus de système foliaire, des troncs noircis, seul le système racinaire aidé par les gans a pu remonter les fonctions vitales de ces arbres. Il a fallu près d'1 an, après l'implantation des gans, pour que les premières fleurs apparaissent. L'année dernière, plus de 50 kg d'olives sont ainsi partis au pressoir. Nous voici déjà le 9 juin 2021, et cette promenade dans les rangs de la parcelle 1 nous conforte dans l'état de santé des vignes. Les feuilles sont extraordinairement belles, avec beaucoup de relief et de brillance, dû aux acides aminés de la plante. Les anneaux veillent à cet équilibre. Et la fleur de la vigne apparaît comme un instant de transformation magique. Du côté de la parcelle de Merlot, la dernière équipée en anneau de gans, tout est au beau fixe. Elle est à gauche sur cette vue aérienne et il y a déjà une coloration différente par rapport à la parcelle du voisin à droite sur la prise de vue. Dans cette parcelle aussi, les Gans font un travail remarquable, tout comme le propriétaire des lieux qui veille au nettoyage des rangs de vignes. Fin juin, de gros orages éclatent et le 1er juillet, un nouveau survol des parcelles 1 et 2 nous rassure quant aux éventuels dégâts. Les grappes sont bien là, sous la protection des anneaux. Les grains ne sont pas abîmés malgré cette météo incertaine. Voici les pieds de vigne non protégés par les ganses, mais traités très faiblement avec l'eau chargée des champs plasmatiques de CO et CO2. La rotation de la caméra montre les pieds de vigne protégés par les ganses. On remarque tout de suite la différence de vivacité et les différences de couleur. Tout va pour le mieux, malgré les intempéries, dans ce magnifique environnement. Nous sommes le 21 août 2021. Cette nouvelle vue aérienne montre des parcelles en pleine forme. Tout va bien, malgré un temps variable et des températures en dessous des normales saisonnières. Les grappes de raisin ont une évolution normale. La parcelle 3 en merlot est elle aussi dans le même état. Cette parcelle est entourée de vignes et d'autres propriétés qui traitent leurs parcelles avec des produits chimiques. En étant attentif aux vues, on voit bien la différence de couleur ainsi que l'état des rangs de vignes. Ce voisinage difficile est contenu et maîtrisé grâce au champ plasmatique des ganses protecteurs. Déplaçons-nous dans une parcelle traitée. Cette image figée montre les dégâts et leur progression malgré les traitements chimiques. Malheureusement, les récoltes de ces parcelles ne seront pas celles attendues, tant en qualité qu'en quantité. les parcelles équipées des anneaux, les grappes sont généreuses. Quelques-unes d'entre elles semblent même remercier les anneaux et leurs ganses. Nous sommes au mois de septembre, à quelques semaines des vendanges. Certains propriétaires sont déjà prêts à récolter, car la météo des prochains jours n'est pas très bonne. En attendant, les vignes sous l'influence des champs plasmatiques et des ganses mûrissent sans problème, même si la cicadelle, insecte qui aime bien la vigne, montre sa présence, car les bords des feuilles sont marrons. La cicadelle marque son territoire, mais ce sera sans conséquence pour le raisin. Mais ce n'est pas la même chose chez les voisins. La vigne traitée n'est pas en bonne santé, et la situation empire au fil des jours. Voici le type de machine, filmée en début de saison, qui est utilisée par le voisinage et qui répand les traitements chimiques. Les résultats sont sans commentaire. Nous voici arrivés au temps des vendanges. C'est la dernière séquence pour la vigne et la première pour le traitement du raisin. La vendangeuse est une belle mécanique qui récolte les grains en laissant la rafle de côté. La vigne a fait son travail de génitrice, aidée plus que jamais cette année par les ganses et l'eau soumise au champ des ganses CO et CO2. La récolte durera plusieurs jours pour se retrouver dans le lieu de stockage. Les grains de raisin commencent le circuit et leur transformation. Les anneaux sont implantés depuis 3 ans sur la parcelle 1, depuis 2 ans sur la parcelle 2 et seulement depuis cette année sur la parcelle 3, en merlot, cépage fragile qui a traversé les épreuves climatiques et les agressions parasites grâce à la bienveillance de leurs propriétaires ainsi que celle des anneaux de ganse. Un grand merci pour ces 3 belles saisons.
Thank you very much, Joel. That was nice. Could you explain to us, because the thing was going too fast, what was the outcome of the harvest compared to the natural one? That others who don't see the video, they can understand it. People who just listen to the voice recording. Are you there?
Just had to enable his talking there. You should be able to open your microphone now, Joel.
Hello?
Yes, we
Do you
hear you.
understand me?
Yes.
My internet link is broken, so I am with my iPhone. I didn't understood what Mr. Kesh said.
What I said was that because a lot of people listen to this as a recording, they don't see the video, or they just listen to MP3 of it.
Okay.
Can you tell us what was the outcome? What was the difference at the harvest? Increase or reduction in quality or the quantity or the color or whatever?
When you do wine yards, we have laboratories which are testing the vine, the grapes during all the season. And of course, we have a criteria of quality, of quantity, of sugar in the grapes, and all is very, very good. We have no problem with that, and all the harvest is in abundance, but many grapes, with many grapes.
Yes, but how was the harvest more or is it the same?
Yes, it was a very, very more.
How much? What percentage?
150%.
So 1.5 times more harvest. And
Yes.
what's the quality? You had no diseases during the trial?
No
with the
disease,
section.
and the quality is
Very high.
Yes.
Okay,
All
but how
the-
much does it cost compared to the chemical side?
Oh, chemical on these parcels cost 80,000 euros per season.
Yeah, and how much does your system cost?
Nothing, Mr. Kesh.
No, I mean you still have to buy the pipe. You still have to.
Yes, but
it's,
200 euros, perhaps, maybe.
And how much do they need to pay attention to? One of the problems we have with agriculture, especially with like seeds, wheat, rice, and the rest, to continuously keeping the system, the vegetation growing with the feeding with ganses is very difficult. And they just give up after about 3-4 weeks, and then it comes back to the beginning. But how do they manage it? How often do they have to look after this system, the ganses and the rest? Or is it once they put it at the beginning of the season and that's it?
Oh no, I put it in January, and I am looking at them every month.
But you go and fill them up? You go and fill them up with ganses?
No. I don't have, because majority of the rings are 4 years old now. You know, and I have took several of them and come back in my laboratory, and all the GANs are staying. No problem with that. No problem. But we have definitively stopped with the sphere, with the
Rotating a sphere.
Yes, yes.
You just
We are only using
with pipes.
rings. Yes.
Rings. Okay, can I add something here? Keshe Foundation, hopefully for this next year coming up season, will introduce a new kind of agriculture. The way we've done at the moment, we are busy with the flights and everything else which is going on. Or it's something we've done, but then you don't need to harvest or to put rings on anymore. New technology will be introduced. We already developed it, just we don't have time to bring it out in the market or to show it. But this we developed because a lot of seed growers like wheat and the rest need that to be benefited all the time. We explained in a couple of teachings before, and I know our friend in Australia and others in Canada were looking at other aspects. But this will not need any more watering or changing. You totally handle it a different new way. You change the whole environment as a whole, not just a specific. And you can change the harvest. I mean, if this year you want a slightly different kind of grapes, you can change the environment for that grapes, not the same as last year. You understand? So it's very nice. But how many farms are you looking after now? What is it? How many?
In France, we have many vineyards in Bordeaux, and now we have farmers in Bretagne. Bretagne is in the west of France, and we have farmers which we are using for vegetables, and they have beautiful results. Very beautiful results with more harvest than before. Yes.
Well, okay, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. I'll leave it if there's anybody else wants to ask a question.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for what you do
for us.
Thank you very much. But it's beautiful what you've done, and you put years of work into it to show the change. And it's amazing what knowledge seekers are doing around the world in their own field of work.
Oh yes, I thank you very much, and I can help everybody.
Thank you very much. If there are any questions, please ask. Rick,
There was let me see, there was a couple of questions in the chat here. Let me just find it here. There was a couple of questions that Joel had answered in the chat.
Yes.
About the GANS rings. Do they have only GANS water? And you said no, not only plasma water. We need solid GANs to stabilize the energy flow.
Yes.
And Nikolai said, do you also put in amino acids? And you mentioned no to that as well. And there is a link in the chat for a better quality video. So that's good to see. And
yes, I have put the link for the best criteria results of video.
Yes, thank you. And a couple of good comments for thanking you, and bravo, Joel. And Hassan has a comment. The wine smell, taste, and effect may take us to other parts of the universe, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe you'll have a special wine, the galactic wine or something. You could have a special name for it.
Have you followed the wine sold? How do the people who consume it feel like?
Yes, we have begun now because 2019 harvest is now in bottle, and they have tasted it. It's very, very beautiful, beautiful.
But how does it feel? How do people feel when they drink? Because I remember, if I remember correctly, Lisa and Jim did some studies in the supermarket, and they saw people buying more of their products.
All the products is sold now.
Follow and see who drinks it. How they feel.
Yes.
If the drunkenness is more pleasurable the next morning after drinking a bottle, or is it the same as before?
I hope so.
Yeah. And someone says, how can we buy a bottle of wine? These wines, you have to
I
put
will
it up.
send you, Mr. Cash. I will send you some bottles if you want.
Yes, but we need the name of the brand they're asking for, that they can ask for.
Okay.
If you give us the name of the brand, they can buy, and we'll see what knowledge. If you can get the knowledge seekers drunk with it. But
all the harvest is sold now.
I know, but under what name?
We have no. It's Chateau Luby.
Chateau Luby. Okay, let's see if they can find it and tell us what's happening with it. Thank you very much for the hard work. I know you're not going to stop.
Thank you, Mr. Cash. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
Rick.
your wife.
Thank you. Thank you
very much. Thanks both of you for such a hard work.
One question from Marinez. Does he keep the tubes in a star formation or what other form? And I took this picture out of the video. Is this the formation that you use, or is this just a demonstration?
No. It's what I use, and the field, the weakest feeds the strongest. It's also it's all. We have no star formation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a years of work in 18 minutes. It's not justifying it.
Sorry for my English, Mr. Cash, and all the people. Sorry.
Thank you very much. It was beautiful. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you very much. It's a long, long time since we have shown the work of the knowledge seekers. I hope a lot of us enjoyed and understand it, and I know a lot of people will use it, and we'll see what becomes. Thank you very much, Joel. Is there anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Thank you indeed. Thanks for your time. Are there any other questions in respect to the other parts or this part?
Okay, I don't see any more questions. Mirna says, is it a pyramidal form? Is it the form of a pyramid? She's still trying to find the form of the...
right, no. The grapes don't decide how they grow, do they? In pyramids or not. It's just how you distribute the fields. As I said this week, we're trying to show the new enhancement unit due to new developments in what we call it, the knowledge and extension of it. We try to do it next week, hopefully, and where we show the both production of the gas and the energy unit. We will put a cap on the sales of the generators very soon, that we can do work with other sites. People who place a order, please complete it. I know a lot of people are trying to get it done one minute another. And those people who wanted to do the enhancement unit for Moon and Mars, please complete this, because we would like to start the preparation now, that we have you ready for the January, February. This might include even to bring you to LINS a couple of times to preset, to structure it the correct way for the what we call the moon testing. It's just that we bring everything together ready, that when it comes to January, February, when we start testing, we have a full, what we call, everything done in expansion of the soul, we're understanding, you knowing what to do. And don't forget, we try to bring this extension between 3 to 5 days. And it's not going to be you walking in and just taking the flight. In the future, it will be, but for present time, in a way, we would like to prepare the ground for it. And we want to start in September, October, to prepare you for that final, what I call, transmutation test. Please complete your forms and the rest of it, which is connected to it. We had a knowledge seeker ask us, can I pay half of it now and half of it prior to flight? Yes, it can be done. And please understand, you enter a new space technology where you won't take you hours to get to them. It's instantaneous. And then we want to monitor what changes. After you come back, what monitors? We want to monitor what happens. The same as now we monitor with some of the people who went through the enhancement units in past few weeks. We're monitoring how they respond, what they do, and how things has changed around them. And as we develop better, we want to understand how the process works and how everything around us can be changed, can be affected. And we'll see how things turn up in the coming weeks and days. And we will literally explain to you as we go. This knowledge, as is learned, is shared, and no technology has ever been shared like this before. You see the patterns 3 years, 5 years to come out, and then new limitation or whatever. Knowledge shared, literally, step by step, day by day, amongst all of us, by all of us for each other. Thank you very much for today, Rick. And I hope those who buy the painting or bought the painting enjoy it and let us know exactly how it feels and what it brings to them. Thank you for today, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kesh. And those who have any questions left over can bring them into next week's workshop. What are other announcements? Oh, we have on Monday, we have the testimonials meeting. And that's our monthly meeting for people to give their testimonial of the plasma technology. And we look forward to people offering their experience in that workshop. And that starts at, let me get it straight, that's at the 8 p.m. Central European time, and that's on Monday. Let me get the date. That'd be Monday, September 12th, starting at 8 p.m. Central European time. So please attend that. It's a good opportunity also for people to pay back for the plasma technology by sharing with others. Okay, thank you everybody for being part of the 449th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 8th, 2022. Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, for delivering yet another workshop here in this Knowledge Seekers series. And we look forward to speaking with you next week, same time and place. Okay, bye for now, everyone. We'll go out with our flight enhancement spaceship unit with the music version, and we'll see you in the next public teaching workshop.